Cell phone video released this week shows yet another cross being taken off a steeple. The government in Zhejiang province has removed, sometimes burned down crosses from as many as 2,000 churches there, says U.S.-based religious activist group China Aid. At times, the Christian faithful have protested what they call illegal demolition. At the start of the government's campaign, a church was demolished. The official reason? A violation of building codes. China's ruling Communist Party is officially atheist. Technically, it does allow freedom of religion, but those in approved religions must worship under the supervision of those who are faithful, first of all, to the states. So tens of millions of Christians meet underground in so-called family churches. This one was set up in the tiny Beijing apartment of Xu Yonghai. He spent 2 years in prison after writing about church demolitions and the abuse of Christians. We have up to 30 regular members at this church, he told us, but some of us are in jail from time to time.
By a show of hands, can you show me how many have been detained for doing this, for gathering and praying? Wow, everyone's raised their hand. All of you have been detained?
There is no justice in this country, Guo Hong told us, so we choose to believe in God and place our hope in His hands.
Well, take a look at this frightening situation inside a cab. A masked gunman demanding money. The driver hands over $11. But check out the car behind the cab. At the wheel, a quick-thinking deputy sheriff realizes something's wrong. He flips on his lights, pulls his gun, and actually approaches the cab. The gunman was arrested. The driver, very grateful.
Right. Hey, give me all your money, man. Man, I don't. Give me everything you got. Give me it now. All right. I need it now. All right. I can make this the easy way, or we can make this the hard way, man. Everything I got, man. Keep your hand where I can see him. I just started. What else you got? I just started. Let me see your wallet. Let me see your. I don't have anything in my wallet. We can do this the hard way, or we can do this the easy way, man. Let me see your wallet and let me see your phone. I need it all right now. If you don't want to die, man. Okay. Okay. Give it all to me now. Okay. Okay. I don't have anything in my wallet. I'm not gonna hurt you. Just give me everything you got. Sir, I don't have anything in my wallet. I don't carry it. Give me your wallet and your phone. I need your wallet. No, please don't give me my phone. I need that for my. There's a cop behind this. There's a cop behind this. What's your problem? Let me see your hand. Get out. Get out. Oh my God. Lifesaver. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Kyle Odom made his first appearance in court today and was held without bail. The 30-year-old decorated former Marine was arrested by the Secret Service last night after tossing a flash drive and several documents over a White House fence. President Obama was in the residence at the time. Odom had traveled to Washington from Idaho after allegedly attacking a prominent pastor on Sunday. Investigators say Odom shot Pastor Tim Remington 6 times outside his church. Police say Odom has a history of mental illness. Before his arrest, he sent a manifesto to local media in which he wrote that he grew up in a loving family and is 100% sane. But he also said he attempted suicide twice and that his life was ruined by an intelligent species of amphibian humanoid from Mars. It included a section addressed to the president and a list of members of Congress and Israeli leaders who he labeled noteworthy Martians. The manifesto, which also mentions his encounters with Remington, led Idaho police to believe that Odom might be headed to D.C. Despite a warrant for his arrest on attempted murder charges, Odom, who was considered armed and dangerous, flew from Boise to Washington on Monday.
Newly released video raises new questions about a deadly shooting connected to the siege at an Oregon wildlife refuge. The cell phone video shows one of the armed occupiers moments before police killed him after a traffic stop and chase. Ben Tracy reports FBI agents at the scene are now suspected of covering up some important evidence.
You back down or you kill me now.
That's the voice of Robert Lavoy Finicum in cell phone video released Tuesday by the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office. Law enforcement synced the video shot from inside the truck Finicum was driving with helicopter aerials, both recorded on January 26th during his confrontation with Oregon State Police and FBI agents.
You can go ahead and shoot me. Put the laser right there, put the bullet through the head.
Police say Finicum sped off, surpassing 70 miles per hour before reaching a roadblock.
Okay, they're shooting.
Investigators are looking into why the FBI team failed to report firing 2 shots that missed Finicum as he exited his vehicle.
Go ahead and shoot me.
They say he ignored repeated requests to lie down and was shot only after he was seen reaching into his jacket. Finicum's widow insists her husband was surrendering when shot.
Our family asserts that he was shot with both hands up, and he was not reaching for anything at the time of the first shot.
It has been 2 years since their town was attacked by jihadists, but the historic churches and monasteries in Malula, Syria still haven't recovered.
Look, they came even here. Look what they have done to our church. All smashed, burned. They have stolen valuable icons and have burned those which have no value. Even the bowl of holy water and clothes of priests were burned. Even the stones were broken.
The Russian government recently organized a trip for international journalists to visit the area. Residents recalled how they felt when the Syrian army reclaimed their city from the terrorists. The jihadis had also abducted the local nuns who were later freed for ransom. The rebels still hold power in the capital's eastern suburbs.
You don't hear this one every day. Rush hour traffic came to a stop in Houston because of a naked lady. What we know is there was a crash and part of the highway had to be closed. That's when this woman, without any clothes on, climbed on top of a big rig. She started dancing and acting erratically. Police arrived and she refused to come down. After an hour-long standoff, they finally took her into custody.
Tonight, Pablo Serrano Vitorino behind bars. Investigators revealing the Mexican national suspected in a murder spree that left 5 dead wasn't even supposed to be in the country. Authorities believe the suspect, an undocumented immigrant, gunned down his neighbor and 3 other men Monday night in Kansas City, Kansas. The suspect then fleeing, driving more than 170 miles to Montgomery County, Missouri. By Tuesday, his Dodge Ram pickup found abandoned. 20 minutes later, another man shot dead at his home 5 miles away. Choppers, canine units scouring the area until the suspect is finally cornered in a muddy ditch.
Confirming subject in custody.
Serrano Vitorino was deported to his native Mexico in 2004, but re-entered the country undetected. After a traffic violation and an arrest for domestic assault last year, ICE sought to have him detained, but local officials had already released him.
Something needs to be corrected so that the system works properly.
Well, the humanitarian crisis in war-torn Yemen is deepening as international banks have cut credit lines for food shipments. Banking and trading sources say vital supplies are being choked because lenders are increasingly unwilling to offer letters of credit amid security concerns. The lenders are unwilling to process Yemen's payments because ports have turned into battlegrounds and the financial system is coming to a halt under the Saudi onslaught. The Saudi naval blockade of Yemen is making things even worse. Now this while Yemen relies on seaborne shipments for its food imports. According to the United Nations, over half of the Yemeni people are suffering from malnutrition.
Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations is warning that hunger and malnutrition in Ethiopia is reaching an alarming level. The FAO has blamed prolonged drought triggered by the worst El Nino on record for the current crisis. It says severe scarcity of water and animal feed nationwide could lead to crop failures and livestock deaths. FAO warns that shortage of clean water could endanger people's health since they have to resort to drinking water from the same ponds as their animals. Hundreds of thousands of livestock have already died, and the remaining animals are becoming weak and thin. The hunger crisis is predicted to worsen until the harvest season in September.
It seems El Salvador is headed to become the country of graves. According to police statistics, during the months of January and February, 1 person has died of a violent crime almost every hour. Many families mourn the death of a loved one, with some families being victims multiple times. This is the case of a man we'll call Luis, who at 20 years old came close to dying in an attack. He survived, but his father did not. He spoke to CNN on the condition that we change his name and hide his face.
Suddenly, a car stopped in front of me and started to shoot. My dad jumped on top of me. He hugged me and then we fell to the ground. He died saving my life.
That wasn't the family's only death. Years later, they buried another loved one. One of his brothers was killed by gang members 3 months after saving a 10-year-old boy from being attacked. They buried a third family member a few years later.
My younger brother was killed in 2011. The gangs have caused us great suffering and we don't belong to gangs. Nothing like this. We don't associate with them.
Besides his fear, Luis says his family must continue to move on.
Well, it's normal we are scared. We are all scared. This is the reality of the country and we have to leave. We have to go to work. We have to support our family. How can you stay at home all the time for fear that you will get killed?
The 5-year Syrian war has resulted in 250,000 deaths, an enormous refugee crisis, and has seen the rise of the despised terror group Daesh. During a debate in the European Parliament, Moscow was given credit for brokering the current fragile ceasefire in Syria. Other EU legislators were heavily critical of Russia's involvement in the conflict. However, most negative comments were directed towards Saudi Arabia and Turkey, both accused of financing terrorists in Syria.
Why do we continue to do nothing about Saudi Arabia, and why are we continuing to throw money at Turkey and inviting Turkey to join the European Union when they are the funders of terrorism?
The West and its allies have been accused of arming militants opposed to President Bashar al-Assad, who then later went on to join the Daesh Takfiri terrorist group.
In Syria, we had Western forces in Turkey and also Saudi Arabia who supported the ISIL in order to fight against Bashar al-Assad, and that's why ISIL grew so much. We need to eradicate Daesh and find peace in Syria, and without peace we will continue to receive thousands of refugees into Greece.
However, experts say that bringing peace to Syria will not completely solve the EU's refugee crisis.
There are other issues, both current and on the horizon, whether it's Libya or conflicts in Afghanistan, that are going to be part of this equation for Europe in the future as well. So Syria, great. It would be great if the ceasefire holds, but I doubt it's going to make a big difference in the near term.